And we are back on Boles.tv, BOLES.tv. I'm David Boles, and hey, here we are. Being fun Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Now, Janna kicked off the show, and as you may or may not know, we have had some trouble with our live stream since upgrading to Windows. So I'm just going to do a little bit of fun testing while we have each other here. I'm going to see if I can turn off the autofocus. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to see if it's possible. So bear with me while I try to figure this out. I don't even know how to do it. Configure video. That might be it. So let's see. Enable gain, backlight, white balance. That's something we might want to fix. That's interesting. They say to fiddle the white balance yourself. But we'll put it back. I don't know which one we like. Sharpness, saturation, contrast, hue, brightness, camera control, low light compensation. They say take that off. Autofocus, take that off. The zoom is off. Exposure, let's see what happens when we take that off. Oh, then it gets very dark. It was a dark and stormy night. But do we like this better? I don't know. Does -3 get us? Oops, didn't make any difference. I guess you can't. Oh, you can't. You have to slide it. Oh, that's too much. Oh, that's too much. What was the auto exposure? 5. Not a lot of light, but the color seems better. And how is our... I think we stopped the jiggly jaggly, which is good. Let me see what else my research says to fix. Because so far, so good. Sort of. It looks a little bit better. The exposure is currently -5, -4, -6, that's too much. 5. It doesn't look terrible. Zoom control focus off. Turn off auto exposure. Oh, I'm looking at myself live and I'm flashing over there. Now I realize why, because I'm messing with the exposure. Pan tilt off. Low light compensation off. Okay. And use lots of light, which we sort of are. We're using sort of a lot of light, I think. Maybe we'll get more. Now I have to test this by... All right, so I'll close this. That was okay. And we'll close this, and we'll see how this looks. Now I'm going to look at myself on television. It doesn't look terrible. The face needs a lot of help, but other than that, it doesn't look terrible. The balloons are moving because the fan is lightly on, which I should have turned off before I joined you today. Now I'm going to have fun and turn up the sound and see if what I'm saying is actually in sync with what we're hearing. The balloons are moving because the fan is lightly on, which I should have turned off before I joined you today. Now I'm going to have fun and turn up the sound and see if what I'm saying is actually in sync with what we're hearing. Okay, well, it's not terrible. The forehead needs a little less shine. But so far, it sort of looks good. Now, am I signing? Are we autofocusing? Now, I should have turned that off a long time ago. We have a weird shadow over here that I need to fix. It's a very bizarre shadow. Maybe it's always been there, I don't know. And we come in, we come out. Maybe. Hey, there's Dora. Good morning, Miss Dora. I didn't see you there. I'm trying to figure out which camera to use, what settings to have, and there's really no way to figure this out. Excuse me. Unless and until you are live streaming. I test, you can record video, and it looks just great. And everything's fine. And then we come in here on the live stream and things get laggy and things get shaggy, and even as I'm speaking to you now, what I'm looking at in the software is like 1 or 2 seconds behind what's actually being said, so it looks like I'm out of sync. But I have made a sync adjustment in the microphone and in the video that are supposed to sync properly when we are actually live. But it's very bizarre. I'm sitting here talking to myself, and it's slowed down. Dora says your voice sounds much better. I just got on. Well, that's good. About the voice, because that was what started this whole thing, trying to get this figured out. I do like the Elgato Cam a little bit better than the Brio, I think, but if we have the Brio working, then I'm not going to worry about it. See if we're tearing. Is there any tearing? Now I have to watch myself, because when I move my head back and forth locally, the screen tears. Which means it goes zzz, 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 but I have to see if it tears here. Because it could be because of my forehead is very shiny. Well, live it's not tearing. Fascinating. Who knows? That's a bad angle. Don't look that way. Ooh, wipe that off. Ah, somebody needs some powder. Maybe that's what I have to do. I don't know. Get some powder. But maybe we have this fixed. Maybe we have this actually finally, in the scope of it all, fixed. Because I've noticed that the Brio camera, we never saw this much. This wall, this white wall, was never there. It was always cut off like around here. Which is why I moved the lights over there, a little farther. But now suddenly it's bigger, and we can see more of the orange amp on this side. We could never really see that before. I find the whole thing very interesting. And I don't know what happened, and I don't know what changed. But maybe we upgraded the software in the camera. Maybe it's Windows that's updated. I don't know. I honestly have no clue what's going on. But I did spend a lot of time yesterday with Streamlabs support telling me, hey, try this. You need to run Streamlabs as an administrator. Okay. Why? I didn't ask that, which I usually do. I just did it. And then upgrade your graphic drivers, but don't do a standard upgrade. Do a custom install and then start all over again. A custom fresh install is what it was called. So we did that. I said, should I not be trying at 60 frames per second? And he said, oh, no. That's great. That's working fine. We didn't talk about the microphone because of everything that happened yesterday. The microphone was the least of my worries. The problem was the terrible lag we had, and I guess fixing the graphics fixed it, and now I've played around with the camera a little bit, so maybe that's making a difference. I just have to look at myself again. It looks good. The stream looks pretty good. The exposure, I think, was the big problem. And turning off autofocus. And there were a few other things that we fixed. And then I said, do you want me to send you the link to the video from the stream that we did today so you can look at it and tell me what else to fix? And he said, you mean after all the things we've done, you want me to look at the old video of things that weren't done? I said, oh, I have to try it again tomorrow. He said, well, you could just go on YouTube and stream for 5 minutes and send it back. But I thought, no. YouTube is not Twitch. I don't want to go on Twitch for 5 minutes and stop and send them a file. So I played around with it. I did a couple of offline video tests, and it looked okay. And then Janna Marie was here at 9 o'clock, providing her ASL lesson for St. Patrick's Day, which was totally delightful. Then she was jumping in and out of focus, which bothered me. So I looked that up, and I think we now have fixed it. At least, I think we have fixed it so far. And our captions are running, I believe. One thing I like about this new Dell laptop that I told you about before is it also has a touch screen. It's a laptop with a trackpad. But if you want to do something, you can touch the screen and it will work. And it's so funny that many people who buy this laptop turn off the touch screen. And I think there's some reason for it. I think it's for convenience, or they think their machine runs faster, but the convenience is being able to touch your screen. I don't know why you would turn that off, because you're paying a lot of money for it. So now I'm going on my iPhone to see if we are actually live with the closed captions, which I usually always check. It looks like we are, but you don't know until you get there. Oh, and I can see how it looks. Ah! Listening to myself. So now I'm going on my iPhone to see if we are actually live with the closed captions, which I usually always check. It looks like we are, but you don't know until you get there. Now that should be feeding back, but it's not feeding back. I don't know why, don't ask me. Because in the past, as you know, we've been feeding back. Now I'm not seeing captions. Oh, there we are. It takes a long time for the captions to start, which tells you how behind it all is in the streaming world of being live. So how do I look on my little iPhone? I think this looks great. I need to fix that thing over there, though. That's a weird look. I don't know what to put on it, though. We've been streaming for over 4 months, and I've never noticed that before until the past couple of days. And we have a lot to talk about, so I appreciate your patience in helping me figure this out. Also, I don't remember this being in the shot as much as it is now. And I make it lower, but it's still going to be in the shot. I used to have it framed so perfectly where you just see my beautiful face and the little bit of the microphone. This is how we started with that big luggy thing. But you watch other streamers, they have the same problem because you kind of have to be close to your microphone, which means you have to get closer. So maybe we're getting it all figured out. You're thinking, well, do you want to go into Windows? Why didn't you just stay with Mac? Which is tempting, because Macs just work. It's one company that makes the hardware and the software, and everything works together. You don't have to worry about anything. It just works. Whereas Windows offers you a lot more opportunity. Streamlabs did not like that I was on Windows 11, which I guess was released last October, November, but nobody's really using it because there are a lot of problems with it. They wish that I was on Windows 10, but I'm not, and I'm not going on Windows 10. So I have to deal with it until everything gets fixed and fettered out. But the reason you go to Windows when you're live streaming is you can show video in a window. And that never worked on Mac. Very glitchy. You can have an interview with someone who is on video somewhere else via Zoom or Google Meet, and it looks pretty good. That's worth it. And when we would stream on my Mac, my CPU usage was about 40 to 60% just doing what I am now, which is nothing. And right now on my Windows machine using Windows 11, I'm at 1.5% of CPU usage. Very strong frames per second is 60. Upload is very good at 6180. Yesterday was a disastrous day, and I still don't actually know why. But the Streamlabs people think they know why, and they looked at my log and found out things that were going on and said, make this change, make that change. So people wonder, why do you pay for Streamlabs? Why don't you just use the free version? Because Streamlabs stole the OBS version and monetized it. Well, they did. They made it better. They made it frictionless. And when you have trouble, you can go and get help and have all your problems solved within 20 minutes in a live conversation. That's why you go and get help. That's why sometimes you have to pay for what you do. I'm going to take a very brief break so I can go test all of this, and I'll be back very shortly. And I did delete my opening yesterday. I'm trying to cut down my scenes, because if you have too many scenes, your computer doesn't like it. Well, I cut down my opening scene, which is the opening, and I removed it. So today my task is to figure out how to put it back. But I believe our intermission screen is still here and working just fine, and so I will be back momentarily. You can play our new game. It's tic-tac-toe if you're in chat. You play while I'm away. You play against the computer. And you type exclamation point, lowercase d, lowercase b, David Boles. And then 1 through 9, you pick where you want to place your X. Slot 3, slot 4, slot 5, slot 6, you decide. And then the computer will play you. And then it tells you waiting for your turn, and then you put in your next move. Exclamation point, DB, and then the next slot that you want to use. It's fun. Back in a moment. Oh. And we are back live here on Boles.tv, BOLES.tv. Thank you for being here Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Well, it looks like we were dropping some frames, and it looks like, to me, what do I know, that it's our tic-tac-toe game. So I'm going to take it out. I specifically asked Streamlabs about that because when we were on Mac, we did not have the tic-tac-toe game. So just give me a moment here. Oh, look at that. Okay, I'm removing tic-tac-toe. I'm doing it while you're with me, so I'm getting rid of it. Yes, out and Z. Main live, we do not have... Oh no! What happened? That's weird. Oh, my camera's all off again. Nothing stuck. Big browser. We're looking for the tic-tac-toe game so we can get rid of it. That's just bizarre. I might change cameras too. I have all these things I want to talk to you about, but this is my only opportunity to see if I can fix things. We're just going to get rid of tic-tac-toe. We don't need it. It's fun. I love the idea, but if it's slowing everything down, that's just total and complete disaster. And I deleted so many fun scenes, too. So we might have to Now, isn't that interesting? We lost all of our camera settings, and now it just looks terrible. Oh boy. Let me see if I can fix that. I don't know if I can. I have a choice. Configure video. What happened? So bizarre. Very bizarre. So washed out. And I don't know what happened. Something happened. Something changed. Am I in focus? That's the thing. I guess so. Don't look at yourself if you're on camera. See, this is white balance. And you're supposed to go for auto white balance. But they say that's a bad idea. Fix the balance yourself. So, it's red. But maybe that's just what I look like. Gain. Oh, that gets dark. Lighten that up a little bit. So we'll apply that. Camera control. Oh, look at that, zooming. That's interesting. Oh, here we go. Zoom. Zoom. 500% zoom. Not a good look. Hello, America. But maybe we can cut out some of that wall. I don't know. I'm going to leave it. Because if you zoom, it gets grainy. You know what I mean? Focus. Oh, that's out of focus. Oh, I'm going out of focus. It's a nice effect. And the shiny forehead is no longer visible. It's there, but it's not there, which, as you know, is my favorite thing. Something that is there, but not there. Now, I had it was at 12 before, which I thought was okay. Panning and tilting. Doesn't work. Does tilting work? Panning is going this way. Tilting is going up and down. Apply. Oh boy, brightness. Let's see, brightness 128 is the default. Not too bright, not too dark. This is 107. What do we think of this? 107. I can look at myself. Oh, that's dark. Contrast. Very dark. Too much. That's okay. Saturation, 128. Oh boy. It's a good look for Valentine's Day, but maybe not for the regular show. And then we'll go, oh, look at that. We go old school. Sharpness, we're going to leave white balance. Did we mess with that already? I think we sort of did. Little blue. But I have to look everywhere because I'm not the one who's controlling this. The software is controlling it. But the question is, will any of this stick, or is it just going to, when I come back from break, it's going to go back to the way it was, which is not the way we wanted it? I think the white balance is okay. Backlight compensation. No, doesn't do anything. Gain. Oh, yeah, see, glitching a little bit. I don't like the glitching. Apply. Say okay. Now, here we are. Are we glitching? Sign language, back and forth. See, when you have autofocus on, you have to keep all the signing in this plane. Now, it's tearing here, so I'm going to watch over here and see if it's tearing. Okay, not tearing, not tearing, not tearing, not tearing, not tearing, not tearing, not tearing. Not bad. Not bad. So when you go back and forth like this, when you're signing back and forth, here, there, autofocus goes crazy, and I could not figure out how to fix it. And then I wizened up, as they say. Hello. And then I wizened up and figured out that it was the autofocus that was jingle-jangling everything. Oh, we don't want to see that light. Just leave it. Now, I'm going to go to this screen. There's artist Dora. It looks good now. I really, really super duper appreciate you helping me with this, because it's really important for me for you to tell me how it looks where you are, because I'm looking at it on 5 different screens, but that doesn't mean it's good where you are. And now we go back to the main screen. And it looks like our things were saved. We go back to our intermission screen where all of this trouble started. I think it was the tic-tac-toe game, I really do, because it keeps starting and restarting and stopping and restarting. Oh, now I have to fix this. I don't know what I could put in that little box. I guess I just have to make myself wider. Oh, that doesn't look good either. I'm trying to remember how I do this. This to this. And then I think it's an alt drag. Okay. So it's that. Well, this isn't really fixed either. But it is interesting. Oh, okay, so this goes that way. This is, you couldn't do this on Mac. Now, Mac people say, oh, you can alt drag on a Mac. They don't know what it means. With Windows, you can alt drag like I'm doing now, or you can just drag a window. It's a real drag, man. And then you sort of reach your pinnacle. and you can't drag anymore. And the size you have is the size it is, as they say in Japan. Aha, very good. So you can really fine-tune things. Yeah, that's better. And now we're back to our regular intermission screen, which I think is okay. Doesn't look too bad. Now we'll go to this screen, be right back. We'll go to Hardcore ASL just to say hello. And then we go back to our browser. And the camera looks okay. Then we go back to main live. So the color that it is, what does that mean? I'll just remind you of that story. When I was working for Team Toshiba, on CompuServe, we would get access to the engineers. And there was a guy in Irvine, California, who would design the look and feel of the new Toshiba laptops. And this is 20 years ago. And then he would go to, this is what I need to do. I need to close my, that's why it didn't stick. Because I didn't close my window for manipulating my video. And now I'm jerking again. And he would design the look and feel of the laptop. But the real design happened in Japan. And every once in a while, every 3 months, this guy would fly to Japan and be involved in the design. But he wasn't really involved in the design. He was just kind of like, what do Americans like? And then he would tell them. But the thing that he learned that was interesting is the color of the Toshiba machine. And there's a special word in Japanese that I don't know, but it means the color that it is. And at that time, Toshiba laptops are coming out in sort of a dark green. And it wasn't paint. It was just the plastic material was green. And if you scratched it or scuffed it, it was still green. Meaning that it's not a paint. It's not something that can be scratched away. The color of the machine is the color that it is. So if you scratch it, same color. The color that it is. I love that lesson. Okay. I'm just looking at myself. I'm just saying for too dark. I think we're okay. We can make the lights lighter in here, so we have a lot of light. I'm not concerned about the light. But these cameras do like a lot of light until they get overexposed, and then they say, what are you doing with all this light? So there's a show that I love to watch on television called Naked and Afraid. And there's not a lot of naked in it that you get to see, so it's not a thrill that way, but it is very interesting to watch. And I prefer when the newer people play, because the old established guys know all the tricks. They know the first thing you do when you lay down on the floor in your dirt boma. Crazy show, Dora says. It is a crazy show. And the first thing you do is, when you get flat to go to bed and sleep on your side, is you take a stick and you dig a hole for your hip bone. And then you lie flat. But if you're lying without the hole in the ground, then your hip is up and it's very uncomfortable. Now that's something is genius, and you figure out and you find your own way. So all these pros, they share everything and they know all the tricks. So the recent show this week was really interesting, and it was a full 2 hours, and it was only, I say, a 21-day expedition. And it was, because lately they've been doing 1 hour shows, 2 hour block, but 1 hour shows about one couple, the second show is about the second couple. This one got the full 2 hour treatment, which is what they used to do at the very beginning. And this woman told us right away that she is autistic, but she said it's Aspergers, so it's not, a severe non-functional sort of autism, which is what most people think when they hear that someone is autistic. And she said that she works for a software company, And this other guy was very nutty and very tall, and he was a wilderness survival expert. And the whole show was really a negotiation of how to deal with a person with Asperger's. And she was generally functional. She admitted that she couldn't do a lot. And sometimes there's just, that look that they get when they're about to crack and boil over that's very alarming. And she had several of those meltdown moments. And we find out later, now I skipped the first 5-minute introduction of them telling their background, their history, who they are, they take off their clothes. That's when I start the show because that's what's interesting to me. I don't care what they do in their real life at all. But we find out from this guy talking to us, and this was all voiceover. Usually when they talk to us and give us information like that, it's a one-on-one interview. But there were many times in that show where he did a voiceover, meaning that they did it later in editing, which was fantastic because they knew what he needed to explain what was going on between the two of them, because she was basically unable to care for herself except for a few specific things that she did that were interesting. And he told us during the show in one of these voiceovers that he recorded later that he is sort of a camp counselor, and he goes into the wilderness for people with functional disabilities. So when he first met her, he knew that she had certain issues that needed to be addressed. And she told him straight up. And he said, I respect that. It's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. And they were off to sort of a good start. And then it got very interesting because she told us that she does not have good use of spatial legislation, meaning she doesn't know what direction she's going in, so she can't find her way home if she's out, looking for food. And she killed a couple of birds with the water pot. She just threw the water at them and killed the birds. That was very good. And he was out there with her, telling her how to get back, to the Bulma. And his advice to her was really genius and very simple. He said, keep the sun on your left side. If the sun is on your left side, you're going in the direction of home during the day. And he was as worried as we were as viewers, saying, if she gets turned around, there are lions there, elephants there, she would be in very grave danger. So he was out there. They were collecting things to eat and to scavenge, and he was helping her find her way back home. And then she says, okay, let's go back to the Boma. And he said, okay, you go ahead. I'm going to here and fix a couple of things. And she says, okay. So she starts walking. She's 25 feet away from him. And she says, okay, which way is home? And he said, I already told you. And she said, well, can you tell me again? Because I don't know where I'm going. And he said, well, I think you should figure it out. And that's when she had her first boil over, and she was very upset. And she walked away and called him an a-hole. And he was very alarmed by that. He said, that it's not a good thing when someone you're stuck with, that's my word, not his word, calls you an a-hole because you have negotiation problems. So he went back up to her, he followed her and said, you seem upset. What's going on? She said, I'm feeling stressed. And he said, why? He said, I asked you how to get home. It takes you 5 seconds to tell me which way. And he said, but do you remember where we talked about how to get you home if you're lost? And she said, she didn't answer. And he said, keep the sun on your left arm. And then she was like, oh, yeah, keep the sun on your left arm. Okay, right, I remember. And he said, okay. So she went back, and then he followed her to make sure she got home. And then he asked her, he said, why were you upset by that? And she said, well, because I couldn't remember. And he said, well, that's what we were trying to do together, was to help you find your way home. And she said, yeah, but I forgot. So there was really no resolution to that, but it's very interesting to watch him. He was very, very skilled in dealing with her, and he knew how to ask her the right questions. How are you feeling right now? In different terms. And she'd say, I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling stressed. And then he was trying to teach her how to build a fire, and she was not interested. And she said, he thinks I'm stupid and I don't know how to do things. And then he talked to us in voiceover, not live on camera, and said, okay, I have a lot of experience dealing with the functionality of people, limited functionality of people that are similar to her. And I deal with younger kids want structure. They want to be told, do this, do this, do this, do this. Make a fire, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. He said, I realize she doesn't want that. She thinks I'm talking down to her when I try to help her understand how to build a fire, which she can't do on her own. She can't build a fire. So he said, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep engaging with her, but I'm not going to say anything to her about how to do things unless she asks me. And then things kind of cooled down. Then I guess she felt that she was in charge, and I thought she used a very, very interesting technique. And she said it from the very first time she met him. She said it repeatedly throughout the show. And that thing was this, that she'd obviously been trained to say, and it's very cunning and very controlling. She said to him, we have to be a team. We have to do things together. We have to be there for each other. Now, normally you don't have to say that in a survival situation because it's inherent in the situation of the context of what's going on. But me as a viewer watching, I said, well, that's very interesting because she knows she can't do things on her own. She cannot survive by herself. So instead of saying, I need you to help me, I need you to go check the traps, she flips it around, saying that for us to survive, we have to do this together. Meaning, you have to do things for me. And I'll try to contribute, but you're going to have to do it, which is basically what happened. And he got worn out. And she tried to do a few things, help build the shack, play with cordage, getting the water. She said, that's all I'm able to do. And he did everything else. He got the firewood, he got the food. And when she got the birds that she got, he would fix the bird. And he seemed okay with it till the very end when he was very worn out. And she said, well, we have to stick together, we have to finish this. And what was interesting is that he was filthy the entire time, which they usually always are. And she was not. She was alarmingly fresh looking the entire show. Her hair was perfectly coiffed. She looked very beautiful. Her body was not dirty. I don't know if some kind of accommodation was made for cleanliness or some kind of issue that was going on, but there was something that was happening that we didn't get to see as a viewer, that was going on with her, as far as her looking very presentable and very beautiful. And you have to wonder, look, if she were uglier, if she were more ordinary looking, with Aspergers, would she be as successful as she is and on television and having a software job? I don't know. How is beauty valued in the world and especially in America? I think it's very highly valued, and I think that she knew it. And then at the very end, she sat down, and they're like 100 yards from the finish. She said, I can't go on anymore. I'm tapping. And he said, look, it's right there. The truck is right on the other side of those trees. Why don't you just stand up and we'll go? And finally she did, and they finished, and it was interesting and a joyous celebration. But I have to say, that guy, the way he was able to code switch from one approach to another approach to this approach to that approach was absolutely a master lesson in how to get along with all different kinds of people, with all different kinds of personalities, disabled or not disabled. That guy knows how to connect. And I wish I knew his name. I think her name was Moni, M-O-N-I. I can't remember his name. But it was this week's Naked and Afraid. You can find it on a television box near you. I urge you to watch it just to learn how to deal with people and ask questions and get things done without offending them. And there were several times he offended her, and he wasn't trying to offend her, but she was offended. And he has to get along with her for 21 days. And they did. They made it together because of him. And then at the end, he liked singing, and she couldn't stand singing because of her Aspergers. She hears sounds differently. So I guess in that way, she put up with him in that. But he said, singing calms my soul and makes me feel good. So how can you tell a guy not to sing? So check it out. Naked and Afraid. It's a very interesting show. Doris says, I will have to check it out. My nephew has Asperger's. He was very hard to handle, very stubborn. And she is sort of the same way. You can just tell with the look in her eye, she's not going to do something, or she's going to challenge him. He still is, Doris says. So, and she learns how to get along. I'm sure when she's at work and when she's with friendships, she says, look, we're in this together. We have to help each other. And that's a code phrase for, you're going to have to help me. And that's okay. I wish you would just say that instead of trying to form it around this wonderful relationship we're going to have, because it's really one-sided. But that's my take on it, Naked and Afraid. I believe it's on the Discovery Channel. And now we're going to take a very brief blood pressure break and come back and talk about all the things we haven't gotten to yet. Back in a moment. we are back on Boles.tv, testing everything. I forgot to put up the intermission screen again, so I put it up because that's what gave us our big collapse in our frames per second. And on break, I was told by a higher up, a very beautiful Janna Marie, that I am too red. She said, your skin is not that red. So she has instructed me to recalibrate and take the red out. So we're going to do that together because that's what we do. So, well, is that white balance or saturation? Ah. Not as red. Now let me look at myself. Oh. Slowing down. Come on now. Ah, that does look better. I think that's less red. But is it too gray? That is the question. And will we be given an answer? I don't know. 3830 is our white balance. You can't type in your own thing, so I'm 3800 now. 3880. Look at myself. Television. Must see TV is not what this is. That was NBC, right? I don't know. It still looks a little red to me, but we'll see what the boss says. And what the boss says goes. So, I finally smartened up, and on break I thought, you know what I should do? I gotta go see if I can find the episode. So this is the episode that I was telling you about. It's called Night Stalkers. This is them. That's Moni. And the other guy is, I can't remember his name, is, and it doesn't seem to be listed, is the wonderful guide who helped her through the 21 days. And you can tell, it's so amazing. In every shot, she's glowing. She has beautiful teeth, there's a glowing face, and she's absolutely 100% fresh-faced. And look at her hair. It's the most beautiful hair you're ever going to see on a survival show. Look at his hair. He's dirty from doing all the work. But we can't watch it. We can't watch it on Discovery Plus. We can't do any of that. But if I click on this, it does take me to another screen where it says, the promo. A wilderness guide and a software engineer diagnosed with Aspergers try to survive in the Botswana desert. Herds of aggressive elephants threaten their security at night, but their biggest hurdle is learning to communicate with each other. And that is absolutely what the show's about, and that's why it's really a delightful, delightful episode. Are there photos of them? No. I mean, it sounds like such a thrilling show with all the nakedness, but you never get to see any of it. So what else is in the news? Oh, our friend Ether is doing better. Now, every time I bring up this screen, I seem to slow down. So I'm going to look at myself in the mirror, on the television, and it does seem to slow things down. Now, maybe it's because this is too large. I wonder if I made it smaller. It gets very jittery, and I don't like it. So can I make it smaller? And make myself less jittery. I haven't had any coffee today, so I don't have the coffee jitters, if you know what I mean. Now, that is smaller. So I make it bigger this way. And smaller this way. And make it bigger this way, maybe. Maybe. But I can't make it too big. See, I'm making it too big now. Now we're losing content. Maybe if I make the actual frame smaller. Oh. It's getting a little better, maybe. Just maybe. I'm trying my alt cropping trick now to see if this makes any of it any better. It may or it may not. We're just going to have to see. That's a better crop. Now, am I tearing? That's the question. Hard to know. Looking at myself. Oh, there's Dora. She sees the jitterness as well. Yeah, that's bad. And it happens when I do the news, which is like most of the show. So I have to get that figured out. I just wonder if I'm making it too big and it's stressing out. It's still very big. Maybe I should make it even a little bit smaller. Maybe. I don't know. And then I can make myself bigger. Maybe. Bah! Thank you for following. It's Brandon. I'm very good, it's Brandon. How are you? Where are you coming from? How did you find us? What are you doing here? How are you doing here? What is the meaning of any of this? As we try to reframe the aspects of our life. Now, looking at myself. I'm good and I'm watching you. Well, that's wonderful. We're delighted to have you with us. Hey, you are deaf? Well, that's wonderful. My wife, Janna, is deaf. And she was here at 9 o'clock in the morning, giving a fun little lesson on American Sign Language in St. Patrick's Day. And Janna is here with her own show on Saturdays and Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern. And it's all in American Sign Language, ASL. And she also types and texts too, so you won't be left out. Okay, see you later. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. I appreciate it very much. Maybe you'll see you again. Well, it seems less glitchy if I make myself bigger and I make the web screen smaller. I'm trying to think what other streamers do. Hikaru Nakamura shows screens like this all the time. He's on Windows. He does do the cropping, which I learned from him, but he doesn't take up half the screen like I try to do. I don't know. Maybe it seems okay for now. Dora will tell me if it glitches. And if it glitches, there's going to be big problems. And I'm just going to test chat and see where that is located. Oh, that's very low looking. I'll move the chat up a little bit. Okay, let me test. Thank you, Miss Dora. Okay, that looks okay. Can move chat a little bit higher, over a little bit, and then I'm going to move that up here. That's more fun. I think. And this is like, why are you wasting our time with this? But if you watch live streamers, that's what they do. They got to set it up like this because it's the only way you know if it's working or not. Now I'm watching myself move my follow thing up to the corner. That's better up there too. Now let me, maybe I can make the chat box a little bit bigger because it is very small. So I'm going to type Janna. If you type exclamation point Janna, you will get this big floppity dop, as we technically call it. Now, I can make that bigger and better now that we have more space. And it's on my face, but that's okay. It doesn't last long. Oh, and then I have to test one more thing. So I'll try to type in Discord. Then I need to pin it because that is what Janna Marie does all the time. And if it doesn't look good, I'm going to be in trouble. So that looks good too. Right, so our friend Ethereum doing super good today. 28. Yesterday was 2,500. Moving up. The poor anointed Bitcoin is down almost 2% to 40,000, which is still very good because it was like 38. But as recently as 2 days ago, it was 42. So that's wonderful for my artist friends. Now let's just check out the gas because that's what we do here. We find the gas. Oh, and this changed too. Maybe it's because I finally logged in. The gas tracker. $3. 24 hours ago, it was $125 for gas. So that makes me very happy and very delightful. Now I'll show you something on my collection. This is my new Ian Jones piece. Very lovely. Very talented guy. Just love his work. Very scary. The multi-tentacled octopus. Now this is Party Horses. And I believe they're kind of sponsored or related to Maker's Mark, which is a very delicious sort of drink, alcoholic drink. I guess it's a bourbon. A whiskey. Don't ask me, I'll be in trouble. They make mint juleps with it. And they have created 10,000 cartoon horses. And they have a surprise. You mint it, and then you get surprised when it's revealed. I guess, I thought it was 9 a.m., but maybe it's noon, where they reveal which party horse you have out of 10,000. Now, people started minting this on, I guess, Wednesday at 9 a.m. At 9:01, people were minting. And they were saying, wait a minute. I just started minting and it's already into the thousands? How is that possible? This is supposed to be a special thing. I'm here, I'm early, I want to mint my horse immediately. And that's not fair. And so the party horse people said, oh, well, you know, we had demos and we had some giveaways. And people said, well, why didn't you say that up front? That, you know, we're not going to get number 002. We're going to get 1,002. And they didn't explain it very well. And they weren't very kind in trying to explain it either. They were sort of like, well, if this is what you want, too bad, this is what you're going to get. So that was an interesting lesson in how not to have a release of NFTs in the public domain, because people are going to get upset with you. And this is one of my most fun latest adventures. This is one of Sabet's earliest work. It's a Pixopop. And they're bunnies that he created. And they're absolutely delightful and delicious. And this one is an R2-D2. And all the other stuff. We have a nice little collection now. Oh, there it is. Oh, where'd it go? There it is, Pixopop. And they look so simple and so easy, but this is the first artwork that Sabet created for the NFT world. And there's something going on with it too, like it's going to become a cartoon. I've seen plushy toys that are coming out. This one is his tribute to Star Wars. Now, if you remember, Sabet filed a takedown notice with Cryptomores for stealing his skull with one eye with an X and one eye with a heart as imitating and imitative. And people turned right around and pointed to some of his collections like this one and said, well, what are you doing here with R2-D2? You don't think Disney owns that Star Wars image? Have they gone after you? Have they given you a takedown notice of that? They're called Pixel Pop Cuties. And it's just a bunny. And this is what they look like. They're the cutest things. Kids love these. And the floor is very high now. They're at least, to buy one is $3,000. And for what? What are they? They're blue bunnies. Well, I think we're okay so far with how we're looking, with our tearing. So this is our friend Bob Lefsetz, who I just love. He's an intellectual. He's a big Jew, is what he calls himself. And he usually writes about music. And for a while, maybe a year ago, he was writing almost every day about Miley Cyrus for some reason. It's like, Bob, is the Miley Cyrus camp paying you? I mean, you're too obsessed with her. And it was very odd. So I don't know, maybe people do pay him to do articles, which is fine. I wish he would say, hey, Miley Cyrus's people paid me to write this about her, and here I go. But this is his latest one that came out just this morning. And it's just fabulously written because he connects all these disparate things and puts them all together in one focused response. And the topic of today's letter is Dolly Parton and how the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame said, Dolly, you're in. And Dolly said, I don't want to be in. You go away. And it's like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame saying, how can you dismiss us? We're the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Dolly said she doesn't care. She's a country artist. She's not a rock and roller. So I'll just share a bit of this with you. So trying to get everybody to believe, everybody to be interested, which is a fool's errand in the internet area. We haven't all been on the same page since the MTV monoculture of the 80s. The Rock Hall is casting a wide net. It nominates Dolly Parton, which doesn't make any sense at all. She's never had a rock song in her life. She's had mainstream pop songs, but not rock and roll. Who is anything but rock. Those who previously cared shrugged their shoulders. The nominating committee lost its mind years ago, and then Dolly says no. I love it. That's what's gone from today's society. Everybody will take the buck. They say yes to every opportunity. Whereas credibility involves judgment. You're concerned with your identity. You don't want to compromise it. Just because someone else jumps off a bridge, that does not mean that you have to. And then he goes on, you have to read the whole thing. Lefsetz.com, Lefsetz.com. I'll give you the link in chat right now. Dora's shaking her head. So we live in an interesting era. Trump says, where non-talents are billionaires, where the focus in the music business is on the second half of the term, the business. How do I sell? How do I become bigger? Who will give me more money? We always hated the Grammys. They were out of touch. But at the tail end of the monoculture, we were all on the same page. And today, if you like all these artists, anybody who has, variety shows died on the television eons ago, but suddenly we're going to watch this train wreck. So then he talks about Clive Davis. And then he talks about Dolly Parton again. So now Dolly Parton further embellishes her image. By saying no to the Rock Hall, she gains much more than if she was inducted. She's got tons of awards, who cares? It's her music, her persona. That's her essence, not her collection of trophies. Excuse me. And then he goes around in a circle. And this brings us to Ukraine, which is genius. He's making connections. Most notably Zelensky. This guy is not playing by everybody else's rules. He's not a kleptocrat. He speaks truth with emotion. And he's willing to sacrifice his life for the process, for what is right. Meanwhile, we've got wankers in D.C., politicians who really only worry about the money. They vote only with their future in mind. And if they get bounced, they get a cush job with the people who paid them to be in the office. It's ugly, I tell you. But you can't believe a single one of them. Not Trump, not Biden either. Hallelujah. But Zelensky, that's different. And then he talks about Tucker Carlson, who's involved in this, who is, and now we know, a Russian cutout. Yes, Tucker Carlson will never again regain his image as a truth speaker to his fans. Turns out he was only an entertainer, a blowhard, just saying stuff to make himself rich. And Trump? His influence is waning. They both sacrificed their credibility. Their heads were so far up their rear ends, they couldn't feel which way the wind blew. Never mind the changes in the weather. Yes, the rank-and-file Republicans are on the side of Zelensky. They're willing to sacrifice. And he finishes by going back again to Dolly Parton. So I'm writing all this because Dolly Parton said no to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If she hadn't, I wouldn't have laid all of this down. If she'd gotten inducted, it would have been a blip on my radar screen. But saying no, in her own words, it became a worldwide story. It was everywhere. And I thought it was over. But my inbox is still filling up with people talking about it. They're shocked. Who could believe that Dolly Parton would be the correction factor? Nobody. And that's just the point. Well, it's a fabulous way to end the show. Many more things to chat about, talk about. But I enjoyed being here with you today. I hope to see you next week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., right here on Boles TV. That's BOLES dot TNB. BOLES.live. BOLES.LIVE is our video on demand. Might be some ads over there. Closed captions, but no chat. Our video on demand on Twitch is always available. Has captions if it's live, but you do get access to the chat. If you have any questions for me, you can email me, david@boles.tv. If you have a question for Janna, she's janna@boles.tv. On Twitter, super follow us now, $3 a month for insider information and critiques on interesting artworks, @DavidBoles. On Facebook, we're BOLES, Boles, Instagram, Boles Books, TikTok, Boles TV, And once more, here's our Discord server in case you want to find us on there. We're always there and available for happiness and fun finding. So Janna Marie is here tomorrow, 11 a.m., Saturday, Sunday, with interesting takes on the world and fun facts about everything. Her stream is in ASL and typed text, so no one is left out. We invite you to join her Saturday and Sunday, and join me again on Monday, bright and early, right here, 9 a.m. Eastern, on Boles.tv. So until I see you again, I hope you sleep well, wake up fine, have a nice nap, do some good exercising and some breathing, and may joy always be the pinnacle of your soul. I'll see you Monday.